Picture this. A 0.15 kilogram solid rubber hockey puck is slapped across the ice at a blistering 35 meters per second. That's nearly 80 miles per hour, flying dead straight at an ice hockey goalie who's standing completely still. The goalie's glove flashes out. They catch the puck and bam! The puck stops dead. The goalie slides backward just a tiny fraction of an inch. But think about the sheer massive kinetic energy of that puck just a millisecond before impact. Where exactly did all that intense energy go? By the end of this explainer, you're going to completely understand the core concept of inelastic collisions, the mathematical formulas behind them, and exactly how to apply that math to real-life examples.
Section 1. Defining the collision. What is inelastic?
To really grasp what happens out there on the ice, we need to know what kind of collision we're dealing with. In physics, an inelastic collision is one where the internal kinetic energy changes. It's not conserved. Now, momentum, that's always conserved as long as the net external force is zero. But the kinetic energy, the actual energy of motion within the system, that's either going to decrease or increase. The forces between the colliding objects are actively pulling in or adding in internal kinetic energy.
But our goalie catching the puck, that represents a very special extreme version of this. It's a perfectly inelastic collision, which simply means the colliding objects stick together. The puck and the glove become a single moving unit. We call it perfectly inelastic because sticking together drops that internal kinetic energy down to the absolute minimum it can possibly have while still conserving momentum.
Now wait a minute. You might be asking a really common question here. If energy cannot be created or destroyed, which is a fundamental rule, right? Where did the kinetic energy go? If maximum kinetic energy is lost from the movement of the objects, did it just vanish? The answer is literally all around the event. Work done by internal forces transforms that kinetic energy into entirely different forms. It instantly becomes that loud, crisp smack of the puck hitting the leather. It converts into thermal energy, slightly heating up the glove. And it physically deforms the goalie's heavy padding. So, the kinetic energy isn't destroyed at all, it just violently changes form.
Section 2. The math. Conservation of momentum.
Let's look at the mathematical engine driving this. Our foundational rule here relies on the conservation of momentum. Because the net external force on our puck and goalie system is zero, assuming friction on the ice is negligible for that split second, the total momentum before the crash must exactly equal the total momentum after the crash. Mathematically, P1 plus P2 equals P1 prime plus P2 prime.
Let's build this step by step into our perfectly inelastic formula. Step 1, we expand momentum into mass times velocity. So m1 v1 for the puck plus m2 v2 for the goalie. Step 2, our goalie is initially at rest, so their velocity, v2, is 0. That means the whole second term just drops out entirely. Step 3, here is the magic of the perfectly inelastic collision. Because they stick together, their final velocities are exactly the same. We'll just call it v prime. So we combine their masses, giving us m1 v1 equals the combined mass of m1 plus m2, all multiplied by their shared final velocity, v prime.
Section 3. The goalie equation, proving the energy loss.
Let's make this real with some numbers. Applying this to our 70-kilogram goalie and our 0.15-kilogram puck, we want to find their final recoil velocity. We take the puck's initial momentum, its mass times its 35 meter per second speed, and divide that by their combined mass of 70.15 kilograms. The result? 7.48 times 10 to the negative 2 meters per second. That recoil velocity is incredibly small, just a tiny fraction of a meter per second, moving in the exact same direction the puck was traveling.
And this perfectly highlights the massive energy loss we've been talking about. Let's calculate the internal kinetic energy, which, remember, is 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Before the collision, only the puck is moving. Plugging in its numbers, we get 91.9 joules. But after the collision, using their combined mass and that tiny new recoil velocity we just calculated, the kinetic energy of the system plummets all the way down to a mere 0.196 joules.
Notice the difference there? It's negative 91.7 joules. This isn't just a leftover math anomaly. It is the exact measurement of the internal kinetic energy violently converted into heat, the physical squishing of the leather glove, and that loud sound of the catch. Almost all of the initial internal kinetic energy was just completely wiped out from the system's motion. Section 4. Real-world physics in action. This principle isn't just for hockey, folks. Take a tennis racket hitting a ball. In tennis, your absolute goal is to make sure the ball does not stick to the racket. You want it to bounce back hard.
This is still an inelastic collision, but you are trying to minimize the energy lost. You hit the sweet spot to reduce vibration, giving more velocity back to the ball. Conversely, think of a physics lab where two carts covered in Velcro crash and stick together on an air track. That's a totally different goal. There you're observing a perfectly inelastic collision, intentionally removing the maximum possible kinetic energy.
Now wait, this next part is super important. The math actually works in reverse too. An inelastic collision doesn't always mean energy is lost, it just means it changes. Think about deep space probes. They're often separated from their launch vehicles using exploding bolts. Initially they are stuck together, meaning zero relative internal kinetic energy. But when those bolts explode, stored potential energy is instantly released and converted into internal kinetic energy, violently pushing the satellite and the launcher apart. It is quite literally an inelastic collision playing out in reverse.
Section 5. Summary and final thoughts. Here are your key takeaways to lock this in. Number 1. An inelastic collision is defined by a change in internal kinetic energy. Number 2. If the objects stick together, it's called perfectly inelastic, meaning it removes the maximum amount of kinetic energy possible. And number 3. Even when kinetic energy is drastically reduced, turned into heat or sound, overall momentum in a closed system is always strictly conserved.
So, we've totally mastered straight lines today. We know exactly what happens when a puck hits a goalie head-on. But what happens if two objects don't hit dead center? What if they strike each other at a glancing angle and scatter across a two-dimensional plane? Well, that perfectly sets up our next explainer on the complex, totally fascinating world of collisions in 2 dimensions. You definitely won't want to